Stop.
That lawnmower. That's it. Yeah. Stop that. Jake Paul might be too big for him, or Tank might crack him. You don't know.
The post and basically told Roach. He tagged Lamar Roach and he said, "Look, you're not getting that fight with Tank."
Every single day in the life of Gervonta Tank Davis as he prepares for Jake Paul is nothing but focus and relentless hard work, because every session is built to sharpen his power, his speed, and his precision from intense conditioning. Drills to punishing rounds of sparring, he shows a discipline that leaves no room for weakness, no room for distractions, only the hunger to dominate when fight night arrives. While Rolly Romero reminds the world that Tank's legacy is already written in gold and that he has nothing left to prove against Jake Paul, he still admits the obvious truth that Jake carries natural size and that physical edge cannot be ignored. But no matter how big Paul is, it cannot erase the respect, the accolades, and the fear that Tank has already carved into boxing history. And this fight is just another chance for him to prove that greatness needs no validation.
Paul might be too big for him, but like Jake Paul might be too big for him, or Tank might crack him. You don't know. Like I said, like, or it's an exhibition. We don't know if they throw at each other or not, or we don't know. I don't know. I can't give an opinion because I don't know what's going on.
Do you think it impacts, like, will it impact Tank's legacy if Jake Paul were like to beat him or even like knock him out?
Dude, Tank's a 3-division world champion, 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him.
You know, some people trying to give, that's fair, some people trying to give Tank a hard time. They're saying like he should have took a fight with Lamar Roach or Shakur Stevenson. But when you think about it, do you think this is business and look, he's getting a bag, or is there some validity to people saying that he ducked Roach?
I mean, there's still other options, you know. It's like, bro, you can't be mad at somebody for doing what they feel is best for them. It's the same way Roach feels Tank is the best option for him. Same way that Stevenson thinks Tank's the best option for him, or like all.
Paulie Malignaggi points out the real difference between size and experience, and while Jake Paul may have grown in fame and physical strength, Malignaggi makes it clear that raw size means nothing when compared to the years of battle-hardened experience that Gervonta Tank Davis carries, because Tank has fought on the biggest stages, he has headlined the grandest arenas, and he has stood toe-to-toe with world-class opposition. And no matter how big or strong Jake Paul appears, he cannot measure up to the training, the ring IQ, and the adaptability that Tank has mastered over a lifetime. And in the eyes of Malignaggi, boxing is not about who looks stronger, but about who thinks sharper and who executes smarter. And that is where experience crushes size every single time.
I think Davis is more to lose because he's the bona fide world champion. I don't care if he's much smaller. I think Jake Paul has sort of plateaued as far as where his boxing is concerned. It's rather low level. Yeah. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, he can hit. So there is that risk. You know, Davis, you know, at lightweight, you're in a moment where it's too physical for you. You can clinch. Against the heavyweight, where you clinching? You ain't getting out of that corner just clinching anymore if you run out of space. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. But Davis, listen, there's a lot of talking points that I'm sure we'll get into when this gets closer to the fight. Davis can still punch at lightweight. Can he drop a heavyweight? You know, there's a lot to gain there, right? If Davis knocks
the answer is yes.
If Davis drops Jake on his ass, as much as Davis is the one with more to lose, it's still a highlight moment,
a visual that will stay forever.
Yeah, but if you get dropped, even if you're smaller, you're still a world champion in multiple weight classes. If you get dropped, you know, what's the look? What's the feel? On the inside, as boxers, me and, you know, Chris Algieri, the champ, even you, Jimmy, you have fight experience, so we know that the risk is a big guy that big hits you, you're probably going down if you're a small guy, if he hits you clean. So we know the risk, but how does it look to the public eye who don't understand that? You know what I mean? The public. So there is a lot to lose, though. There's a bit to gain. I wouldn't necessarily have an issue with this had Davis's career arc been one that benefited boxing. Davis was manufactured and put into a position where he's supposed to benefit boxing, and I don't think he has. I think he's hurt boxing. So by giving him this reward, that's my problem. Why are we watching this? Why don't you make him earn his spot that he still hasn't earned?
Teofimo Lopez sees this showdown as pure spectacle more than sport, and in his view, it is not about legacy or rankings, but about the show, the lights, and the money, because both Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis are set to make massive paydays, and that fact alone cannot be ignored. And while this may not carry the prestige of a world title fight, Lopez believes it still fuels boxing in a powerful way, because a clash like this draws new eyes, new energy, and fresh fans into the sport, and even if it feels more like an exhibition, the attention it creates helps boxing grow beyond its usual audience, and that is why he sees value in this.
Really invested on it, and I'm actually very happy for Gervonta and Jake. I really am, man. It's good for the sport in some way, you know?
So a heavyweight versus a lightweight.
Yeah.
You got a fly hit me, yeah. A heavyweight versus a lightweight. How's this gonna work?
Hey, they make it work. It's an exhibition for a reason. So, you know, they know what they're doing. And, you know, shout out to Netflix and shout out to both of them, honestly. Like I said, I think a lot of people in the boxing world are kind of upset. I could care less. I think they're going to go out there and make their money. It falls on the number 8 for a reason. They're going to make a lot of money.
Have you got a prediction for that fight?
My prediction? A show. A show.
Well, clearly it's a show, but when you've got a lot of people underestimating Jake Paul once again, but when you've got a heavyweight boxer who knows how to throw punches and knows the basics against a lightweight, it's quite a difference. I mean, have you sparred heavyweights before?
Yeah.
For competitive sparring in the ring?
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same, not at all. Definitely got to move. I've actually played around a few times, went through between their legs just to duck around. But yeah, because they're taller, you know. But I think for that competition, that fight, it reminds me a lot like The Big Show, and Floyd Mayweather when they fought in WrestleMania.
Yeah. And will that end the same way?
Possibly. Maybe some brass knuckles in there too.
Can you see Jake Paul knocking out Gervonta Davis?
It's boxing, man. And if it's a show like this, anything goes, anything happens.
Nate Diaz wastes no time cutting straight to the bone as he shuts down the hype around Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis, calling it nothing more than a circus fight with zero real value, because in his eyes, no matter who gets their hand raised, it does not push their career forward and it does not prove anything. And to him, this is nothing but a staged show build up and for entertainment, like pro wrestling. And he makes it clear that the fans may enjoy the spectacle, but anyone thinking this is a true test of legacy is fooling themselves.
I gotta ask you, Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis. Does Davis have a chance?
Gervonta is a great boxer, but he ain't gonna be.
So you got Jake Paul by knockout, or?
No, I don't got anybody, but I don't think.
He's just too small.
I don't want to beat up somebody that small. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying?
What do you think of the fight?
I don't want to lose to somebody that. There's no point in the fight. It's a great fight, actually.
You think it's a good
hating
fight?
on the fight, but I think my thoughts on it is let's watch and see what happens.
Ryan Garcia said that boxing's turning into WWE.
Yeah,
with that type of matchup. You agree? Last thing, White House card, like he said, you want Conor McGregor.
Yeah, but the whole thing's on WWE, so it's like, at least that's happening and getting something to talk about, something to watch, and I'm looking forward to that fight. Actually.
Jeff Mayweather doesn't hold back when sharing his doubts about this fight, as he questions why a proven champion like Gervonta Tank Davis is even being lined up against Jake Paul, a YouTuber turned boxer who is still trying to prove himself in the sport. And although Jeff understands the money factor that drives these kinds of events, he makes it clear that the matchup feels strange, forced, and unnecessary in his eyes. And his blunt honesty mirrors the frustration of diehard boxing fans who believe crossover fights like this only create more confusion than excitement for the sport they love.
It's kind of weird because Jake Paul is extremely bigger than Tank, and I mean, but with it being exhibition, it makes sense. It's fine. He got a big name that he's gonna be fighting, but I mean, it really makes no sense because he's gonna be weighing over 200 and some pounds. Tank's gonna probably be weighing maybe at the most 147, 150. So I don't even understand why the fight is happening.
KSI, who has lived through the influencer boxing scene himself, pulls no punches when calling out Jake Paul's tricks as he explains that talk of Jake fighting Anthony Joshua was nothing but smoke, and mirrors a way to fool the public and keep his name buzzing. And in KSI's eyes, this matchup with Tank Davis is just another chapter in Jake's playbook, where the goal isn't about proving himself against elite heavyweights, but about creating noise headlines and hype. And with his brutally honest take, KSI exposes the theatrical side of modern boxing, where manipulation and spectacle often matter more than true competition.
I knew AJ and Jake was never gonna happen.
I didn't.
Really?
Yeah.
You thought it was actually gonna Bro, it's so crazy. Like, I feel like so many people just believe everything online.
But that's pretty unbelievable on the other hand.
I feel like I know, well, okay, how do I say it like this? Itoma versus White. I had a lot of people bet on White winning. And I'm there like, you guys don't watch boxing, do you? You just look at a record and go, oh, Dylan's fought many more people than Itoma. That record says a lot. Itoma's like 18, not 18, Itoma's 20, inexperienced, Well, I'm on. Like, I just knew Itoma was gonna just destroy him. And I think a good fight for Itoma would be him and Wilder. I think that'd be a very good fight.
BJ Flores, who has trained Jake Paul for a long time, believes that Jake's true potential lies in the cruiserweight and heavyweight divisions, where his natural size fits best. However, Flores also says that the fight with Tank Davis is opening new doors for Jake, sharing the ring with a champion, raises Jake's profile even further, and creates opportunities for bigger matchups and higher weight division opponents. Flores sees the Tank fight as an important step in Jake's boxing journey, taking his growth and experience to new heights.
It's a funny story. So one of my good friends, Armani, he has been working with Jake Paul for the last 2 years. There was a little time where Shane wasn't there with Jake, and Armani called me up and said, hey, BJ, will you come down to Big Bear and spar with Jake? And I'm like, you want me to spar with Jake? I'm thinking to myself, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, he's beating up all his sparring partners. We come, I was like, all right. I mean, fine, I'll go down there and do it. I have been inactive. I haven't done anything for like 8 months. But I was like, okay, I'll go down there. So we spar a couple times. After that, they decided I was too big for him. And, it's better if we just, not do it. And, then they asked me if I would be interested in like working the mitts with him and helping him with the combinations, because I was hitting him with some combinations they hadn't seen before. And I said, we can teach him all those things and have him doing all those things. And so I started working the mitts with him and helping him out on the mitts. And he told his trainers and everybody, they're like, man, I want BJ around for the entire camp, because I'm getting better. My job is like Shane does the advice in the corner and I do the mitt.
Respected. Journalist Gervonta Davies believes that the upcoming fight has turned into a circus prioritizing show and spectacle over substance. He says that despite the mismatch in weight and divisions, the event draws public attention but weakens boxing's credibility and harms the spirit of true competition. Davies emphasizes that such events are designed mainly for financial gain, and if this trend continues, the sport's integrity could be permanently damaged, with purists and longtime fans losing faith. Yet he acknowledges that controversy and sensationalism remain powerful promotional tools in boxing, generating massive.
I think we've gone out of the frying pan and into the fire, because we thought we were going to get Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua very soon. We'll speak to Frank Smith about that in the next section, obviously. Eddie Hearn was teasing it to me personally last week. £80 million on the table for Anthony Joshua to fight Jake Paul. But 8 inches in height difference, 7 weight divisions between them, 5 stone, 70 pounds between them. It's a joke. It's a circus fight, as opposed to a disgrace of a fight, which was Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. At least you feel in this, you've got quite a poor, very big one against a pound-for-pound, brilliant, unbeaten little un. And the little un who'll come up to his navel will hit him with a lot of body shots. I said in the week to Danny Kelly and Charlie Brooker that, do I mean Charlie Brooker? No, Baker. Charlie Baker. That Charlie Brooker's a different person altogether. That he'll be throwing the Superman punch, the leaping left hook. It's going to be a very odd thing. It's called, in inverted commas, an exhibition bout. But everybody in boxing who is a name, doesn't mind going in with Jake Paul because they know they're making millions of dollars. And that's the only reason that Gervonta Davis, who's being called the poison little elf by Jake Paul, and it'll be fun in the build-up. Everybody in boxing knows they're guaranteed to make millions of those silverbacks. Those greenback notes that they give out in America, and they give them out for fun when Jake Paul fights. So he's not going to say no to it. But can you pick a winner in that fight?
I don't want Vargas Jr. offers a different perspective, focusing on the element of surprise. He believes the unpredictability of the fight adds excitement. He admits the matchup was completely unexpected, and for that reason alone, it creates buzz. Fans love novelty, and Vargas Jr. points out how this fight delivers exactly that. Whether it turns out good or bad, the shock factor makes it worth talking about.
You know, the way we dress, or you know, this generation, as far as like fighters, they relate to more who's more popular. You know, that's why we're seeing the Jake Paul versus Gervonta fight, which is, bro, that's crazy to me because we would never see that. And, you know, back in my dad's day, but now we're getting this and it's just like, fuck it. I mean, people are going to see it, bro. So it is what it is. But whether people know him more or not, or me, it doesn't matter. You know, I know that he's coming and he's coming game and he wants to make a statement as well. So we're just coming to interrupt those plans. You know, this is boxing, and you know, I'm so excited to demonstrate my skills. I could box, I could counterpunch, I could bang when I want to, and I'm gonna demonstrate that. I'm gonna do what I want to do in there. Come September 13th.
Yeah, you know, we spoke about this a little bit earlier. But it's a 10-round fight. You know, could be a different pace of a fight. But what do you think is like the key for you to get this win, regardless if it's a knockout or if it goes all 10 rounds?
I think just be smart. Be in there, be smart, be first, and do what I do. I think if I try to do a little too much, like my dad says, when you try doing too much, it looks you're trying too hard. So only thing I got to do is just come in the best shape possible. If it goes 10 rounds, then it goes 10 rounds. You know, we're doing 12 rounds of sparring. So if it needs to go to 10 rounds, we'll have the gas tank to go. You know, I don't know if he's gone a full 10 rounds. You know, I haven't. So it'll be something for fight day. You know, if we do end up going the distance, then we end up going the distance.
Wade Plem argues that Jake Paul has brought new energy to boxing by drawing in audiences who might never have paid attention. He notes that Jake's impact is especially strong among younger fans who prefer entertainment-driven events over traditional matchups, while purists see these fights as gimmicks. Wade views them as a necessary evolution. He believes the matchup with Gervonta Davis continues this momentum, engaging the mainstream even. If controversial, for him expanding boxing's popularity and cultural relevance is more important than traditional concerns about authenticity. Several analysts point out that the fight is less about competition and more about business with Jake, gaining the most from stepping into the ring with a proven world champion like Gervonta Tank Davis. And
this man, that's the circus. If you want to join the circus, that's the circus. I don't see the value. I just see money involved in that. If they want the money, if that's what they want to do, then go ahead and go ahead and get the money. But other than that, I'm not. You got a guy, Jake Paul, that's what, 6'3", 6'4", almost. Then you got a guy, Gervonta Davis, that's like 5'5", a little guy. Yeah. Y'all gonna try to, who's 200 pounds, who's just for Mike Tyson there, I'm gonna throw him in there with a 135. It's just a circus. And that's what they want to do, to give money, to generate money in the sport of boxing instead of Gervonta Davis. This is a legacy fight. He was supposed to fight Lamont Rope after this, and then he say, no. Think about it. You really can't say too much. When you say Gervonta Tank Davis and you say Lamont.
For Paul, the fight brings massive exposure, credibility, and financial gain. Whether he wins or loses, analysts see it as a strategic move to grow his brand, attract a wider fan base, and secure lucrative opportunities in boxing. The ripple effect also affects other fighters like Lamont. Since Tank is tied up with Jake, a rematch with Lamont is off the table. However, Lamont is not without options. The boxing landscape is wide, and he has alternative fights to advance his career. This shows how a crossover spectacle like Jake versus Tank reshuffles the traditional boxing calendar, creating both challenges and new opportunities for other fighters.
Where does Lamont Roach Jr. go from here? I mean, he's got options. I mean, that young kid, Kamel Moton or Moton? is calling him out. He ain't going to do that. He's only 19. Floyd's young fighter. He can wait for the winner of Abdullah Mason, Sam Noakes. I mean, Floyd Schofield's out. Options is what I'm trying to say. And then look, does he want to go down a weight? Does he want to go down to super feather? Let's not forget, I think he's still a belt holder in that division. I mean, Shaki Foster's there. Stephen Fulton is now in the division. We saw Raymond Ford, on the weekend? Sorry, weekend. When was that fight? 2 weekends ago. So there are.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more and catch us next time.